One of the things that you find in the book, and I wrote a bunch of it down out of context so that I could ask you about it, was you say many times that you stretched the truth or didn't tell the truth or lacked candor.
Well, I don't say many times. This is an important point, and let me get some of this. Let me give you an illustration of just exactly what you're talking about. In December 1963, I had gone to Vietnam to appraise what the situation was just shortly after Kennedy died. And by the way, and we should get onto this, it was within a few weeks of the time that, on my recommendation, he had announced we were going to plan to withdraw all U.S. military personnel by the end of 1965, and that we would withdraw 1,000 before the end of 63, within 90 days of the date he made the announcement, and furthermore, that we could announce it publicly then, which we did. So here it is, within that 90-day period, we're withdrawing. We did withdraw the 1,000. But what I said to the press was, when they asked me, I said, I quote, "We observed the results of a very substantial increase in Viet Cong enemy activity." That was true. But then I added, "We reviewed the plans of the South Vietnamese government, and we have every reason to believe they will be successful," unquote. That was an overstatement at best, because I said to the president in a written report, quote, "The situation is very disturbing." That's the kind of thing you're talking about. Now, but I think you should also understand, or your people should, and then when they read the book, they'll see that to the press in 1964, I said, the situation is serious. And again in 64, I said the situation in South Vietnam is unquestionably worsened. In 65, I said it'll be a long war. In August of 67, after I spent all day before the Stennis Committee, Senator Thurman said, "Your words are the words of a communist appeaser. It's a no-win policy." So at times, I was excessively optimistic, no question about it. But at other times, I was candid and accurate and charged with being a communist appeaser.
On the issue of President Kennedy, you said that he had announced that all troops should come out by 65, but you also quote in your own book a comment that he made shortly before he was shot on the Huntley Brinkley show, where he said he was going to stick it out, or I'm trying to find that.
This is a very important point. I think let's take a second, because there's another quote right before that. I think I can find it.
Yeah, there is on the same page, and I thought I had mine marked out here.
Well, that's, since we won't take the time to find it. I know the two quotes almost verbatim. They came within a week of each other. They were in September of 1963. Kennedy died, as you know, November 23rd, and in 22nd, I'm sorry. He was buried November 22nd. And in the first week of September, say 8 weeks before he died, he had two interviews, one with Cronkite and one with Brinkley. In the Cronkite interview, he said, in effect, it's a South Vietnamese war, only they can win it. In a later interview with Brinkley, he said just what you said, that
I got it here. I think we should stay, we should use our influence in as effective a way as we can. We should not withdraw.
That's right. But there was an implicit qualification there, which he had outlined earlier. And the implicit qualification was twofold. Number one, that there was a sufficiently stable political regime that outside troops could be effective. That condition was not met. Secondly, that the South Vietnamese would be willing to carry the brunt of the war. He said to Cronkite very, very clearly, it's their war, only they can win it. Now, I think what he meant when he talked to Brinkley that way was, we're going to stay as long as those conditions are met. His statements before and after the Brinkley thing were totally consistent with his statement of Cronkite. So I know what you said. I put it in there just for the reason that, in a sense, you quoted it. I wanted to have the public record clear. He said both things. But the Brinkley statement was qualified by the Cronkite statement.
You speak very highly of John F.